The spreadsheet has 47 tabs. Evan built it over 3 weeks, populating cells with census data, cost of living indices, school ratings, crime statistics, climate projections, economic forecasts. Each tab feeds into the master calculation on sheet 1, a weighted probability score for whether we should move to Portland. 73.4%, he says, pointing at the number glowing on his laptop screen. That's a strong confidence interval. The data clearly supports relocation. I'm folding laundry on the couch, matching socks that will never stay paired. What's the percentage for how it feels? I ask. He looks at me like I've suggested we navigate by reading tea leaves. That's not how decision-making works, Nadia. That's exactly how decision-making works. For most people. Most people make bad decisions. I hold up a sock with a hole in the toe. Should I throw this away or keep it? What does the data say? Don't be reductive. I'm not. I'm asking, at what percentage threshold do we discard things that are damaged but still functional? Evan closes the laptop with more force than necessary. We've been having this fight for 3 months now, ever since his company offered him the Portland position. Better salary, better title, better everything, according to every metric he can measure. Except, he can't measure how my client, Mrs. Rodriguez, will feel when I tell her I'm leaving 6 months before her husband's prognosis runs out. He can't quantify the weight of being someone's anchor while they watch their person disappear into Alzheimer's, and how you can't just hand that role to someone new and expect the same outcomes. The sock is a false equivalence, Evan says quietly. We're talking about our future. No, you're talking about a future. One specific future that your spreadsheet says is optimal. Based on evidence, based on reality. I set down the laundry, turned to face him fully. You want to know about reality? Today, I sat with a woman whose husband died this morning. She kept saying, but it's Tuesday. He can't die on a Tuesday. We always have pancakes on Tuesday. There's no cell in your spreadsheet for that kind of loss, Evan. No probability calculation for how your life splits into before and after. That's exactly my point, he says, and his voice is gentler now. That kind of pain, that's what I'm trying to protect us from. The data shows Portland has better healthcare outcomes, lower stress indicators, higher quality of life markers. I'm trying to optimize for our happiness. You can't optimize happiness. That's not how it works. Then how does it work? Seriously, tell me. Because from where I'm sitting, you're arguing for staying in a city with a higher cost of living, worse air quality, and fewer growth opportunities because of, what, a feeling? I think about Mrs. Rodriguez, about how she held my hand today and said, "You make the darkness less dark." I think about Marcus, 19 years old, dying of leukemia, who told me last week that our sessions were the only place he didn't have to pretend he wasn't terrified. I think about the Johnsons, married 62 years, and how I helped them say goodbye to each other with words they'd been too scared to say for decades. Yes, I tell Evan, because of a feeling, because some things matter in ways you can't measure. He stands up, walks to the window. We live on the 4th floor of a building that's too expensive, in a neighborhood that's too loud, in a city that Evan's spreadsheet has objectively proven we should leave. I got the data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Hospice counselors are in demand everywhere. You could have your pick of positions in Portland. Better facilities, better support systems, better pay. Different clients. New clients. Clients who need you just as much. It's not the same. Why not? He turns to face me, and I can see the frustration in his eyes, but also something else. Genuine confusion. He really doesn't understand. Nadia, I'm not trying to diminish your work. I'm trying to make a rational decision about our life together. Portland offers us a 42% increase in discretionary income, 23% reduction in housing cost as a percentage of salary, access to better... Stop. Just stop. He stops. Do you remember when we met? Of course, September 14th, 2019, 7:47 p.m., the coffee shop on... I'm not asking for timestamps. I'm asking if you remember the feeling, the moment. Evan is quiet for a long time. Then, you were reading a book on grief theory. You had underlined half of it. I asked if it was for a class, and you said no, for work. And I asked, what kind of work requires understanding grief at that level? And you said, the kind where you sit with people while they learn how to survive the unsurvivable. And what did I say? I said, that sounded impossible. You said, yes, exactly. You made impossible sound like a worthwhile pursuit. It is a worthwhile pursuit. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Mrs. Rodriguez is 74 years old. Her husband has maybe 6 months left. I've been seeing them weekly for 8 months. I know that she takes her coffee with exactly 3 sugar cubes because that's how her mother made it in Cuba. I know that she sings to him when he gets agitated, always the same song, something about the moon and the sea. I know that she's terrified she won't be able to keep her promise to him, to keep him home until the end, because the care is getting harder and she's exhausted and guilty about being exhausted. You're one counselor, Nadia. You can't carry all of that alone. I'm not alone. I have a team, a supervisor, support structures, but I'm her counselor. She chose me, or I was assigned to her and we chose each other, however it works. And that matters. That bond, that trust, you can't build it in a spreadsheet and transfer it to someone else like a portfolio. He runs his hand through his hair, a gesture he makes when he's trying to process something that doesn't fit his models. So what are you saying? That we can't move because you have clients who depend on you? I'm saying I don't know. I'm saying that your spreadsheet can tell us where we're more likely to be financially stable or statistically safe, but it can't tell us where we're supposed to be. It can't tell us what we'd be giving up or gaining in ways that actually matter. Everything I put in that spreadsheet matters. Does it? What's the sell for how you'll feel when you realize your new job is just the old job with a different view? What's the formula for whether I'll lie awake at night wondering if Mrs. Rodriguez is okay, if my replacement is listening to her the way she needs to be heard? You can't make major life decisions based on guilt. It's not guilt, it's connection, it's responsibility, I paused trying to find the right words. Last year, you remember when your mom was in the hospital after her fall? His face shifts. Yes. You were there every day for 2 weeks. You left work early, you canceled meetings, you sat in that uncomfortable chair in her room for hours. And when she was cleared to go home, you cried in the parking lot. I held you, and you cried, and you said, I didn't realize how scared I was until I knew she was okay. What's your point? My point is that you didn't make a spreadsheet about whether the time off work was worth it. You didn't calculate the probability of various outcomes. You just knew you needed to be there. You felt it.
Evan is quiet. He knows I'm right, but knowing doesn't make it easier. That's different, he finally says. That was an emergency. No, I say softly. That was love. That was you responding to something you couldn't quantify, but knew was essential. And this, us, this decision, it's not an emergency, but it's the same thing. We're trying to figure out where we belong. And belonging isn't a data point. He sits down next to me on the couch, picks up a sock from the laundry pile. I just want us to make the right choice. What if there isn't a right choice? What if there's just choices, and we make one, and then we live with it and make it right by how we handle what comes after? That's terrifying. I know. I like certainty. I like knowing the odds. I know that too. We sit in silence for a while. Outside, the city makes its evening noise. Sirens and car horns and someone's music bleeding through walls. All the sounds that Evan's spreadsheet lists under quality of life, negative factors. Can I tell you about a client I had last year before you joined the grief group at my work? Okay. His name was Tom. 67, lung cancer, non-smoker, which he was very insistent, I know, didn't want to be blamed for his own death. He was an engineer, worked for Boeing for 40 years. Okay, Evan says again, and I can hear the caution in his voice. He spent our first 3 sessions trying to calculate his remaining time based on his treatment response, survival rates, symptom progression. He had it down to a probability curve. He showed me graphs. Sounds like someone I'd get along with. That's what I thought. But then around session 4, he broke. Started crying, said he'd wasted his whole life trying to engineer certainty into everything. And now he was dying, and all his calculations meant nothing because he couldn't compute what it felt like to know he'd never see his grandkids graduate, never take that trip to Norway with his wife, never finish the boat he'd been building in his garage for 8 years. Evan is very still beside me. He said to me, "I thought if I could predict everything, I could control everything. But you can't predict the things that matter. And when you try, you miss them while they're happening." What happened to him? He died 4 months later. But before he did, he stopped making charts. He spent his time with his family. He let his wife read to him, even though he said her taste in books was statistically terrible. He watched his grandson's soccer games on video. He told people he loved them, which he said he'd always found inefficient before. Nadia, I'm not saying we shouldn't think about Portland. I'm not saying your data doesn't matter. I'm saying I take his hand. I'm saying that some of the most important things in life are unmeasurable, and if we only make decisions based on what we can quantify, we might optimize ourselves right past happiness. He looks at our joined hands. What if we regret staying? What if in 5 years we look back and realize we should have taken the opportunity? What if we regret going? What if in 5 years we realize we left something essential behind? So we're stuck? No, we're human. We're making a choice with incomplete information, which is how every important choice gets made. He laughs, but it's a sad sound. You know what the worst part is? I've been researching this for 3 months. I've compiled more data on Portland than most people compile on anything, and I still don't know what to do. All my models keep showing me probabilities, but none of them can tell me what I actually want. What do you want? I want to know we'll be okay. I want to know we're making the right choice. I want to know... He stops. I want certainty. And you're telling me there isn't any? No, I'm telling you that certainty and rightness aren't the same thing. You can be certain about the wrong thing. You can be uncertain about the right thing. The feeling in your gut when you think about moving, what is it? He's quiet for a long time. Excitement about the job, the opportunity, but also he trails off. Also what? Also loss. I'd be losing this, us, here, our routine, the Tuesday farmer's market where you always buy too much kale, the way the light comes through our window at 6 a.m., the fact that I know every coffee shop in a 3-mile radius and which ones have your favorite scones. He looks at me. What does your gut say? My gut says I'm not ready to leave my clients. But also, my gut says I'm scared of change, and that's not the same as knowing Portland is wrong. So we're both uncertain. Yes. Great, that's really helpful. I lean my head on his shoulder. What if we make a different kind of spreadsheet? I'm listening. What if we make one with 2 columns, one for things we can measure, and one for things we can't measure but know are true, and we give them equal weight? Evan pulls back to look at me. That's not statistically sound. I know, but is our life statistically sound? Are we? He considers this. What would go in the second column? I don't know. Love? Belonging? The feeling you get when you walk into our apartment after a hard day and you're home? The way Mrs. Rodriguez's face changes when I walk into her room and she knows she can tell me the truth about how hard this is? The way you sing in the shower even though you're terrible at it and you know you're terrible at it? Excuse me, I have a very nice shower voice. You objectively do not. See, there you go again with your objectivity. He smiles, and it's real this time. Okay, 2 columns, equal weight. But I'm warning you, if the second column wins, I'm going to have an existential crisis about everything I thought I knew about decision theory. Good, I say. Existential crises build character. We spend the next hour on it. Evan opens a new spreadsheet, of course he does, and we fill it in together. The left column is his. Salary differentials, cost analyses, growth projections,
all the numbers he's been living in for months. The right column is mine. The way our neighborhood smells like jasmine in spring, the inside jokes we have with our favorite bartender, the community I've built with my clients and their families, the fact that his mother is only 20 minutes away and she's getting older, and those 20 minutes might matter someday. We don't reach a conclusion, but we reach something else, in understanding that we're trying to make this decision together, not as the logical versus the emotional, but as two people who process the world differently and need to find a synthesis. "Can I tell you something?" Evan says as we're getting ready for bed. "Always." I've been so focused on the Portland data that I haven't actually imagined us there, like concretely, what our life would look like. I've imagined salary numbers and housing square footage, but not us, making coffee in a different kitchen, walking different streets, starting over. And I can't picture it. Not really. When I try to imagine our future, I keep seeing this apartment, this city, you coming home with stories about your clients, me complaining about my commute but secretly liking the predictability of it. Is that bad? That you can't picture it? I don't know. Maybe it's just data I haven't collected yet. Or maybe it's your gut telling you something. Maybe. I kiss him. We don't have to decide tonight. The job offer expires in 2 weeks. Then we have 2 weeks to sit with the uncertainty, to let both the data and the feelings settle, to see which one keeps calling us back. I hate uncertainty. I know, baby, but you're getting better at it. That night, I dream about spreadsheets that grow gardens, where each cell blooms into something living and unmeasurable. Evan dreams about probability curves that bend into the shape of our life here, familiar and imperfect and ours. In the morning, over coffee, he shows me a new tab he added to his spreadsheet. It's labeled Intangibles, and it's full of things he couldn't quantify but tried to document anyway. The way I laugh at his statistics jokes, even though they're not funny. The Tuesday pancakes his mom makes when we visit. The feeling of knowing where home is, not because data says it's optimal, but because it's where we've built our life, mistake by mistake, choice by choice. This column doesn't have any numbers, I point out. I know. I'm learning to be okay with that. Character development. I'm proud of you. Don't get used to it. I'm still running regression analyses on our grocery spending. Of course you are.
3 days later, Evan calls his boss and declines the Portland position. Not because the data was wrong. It wasn't. The numbers were all accurate. The opportunity was real. The 73.4% probability was methodologically sound. But because when he tried to imagine explaining the decision to himself in 10 years, he couldn't find the equation that justified leaving what we'd built. "Are you sure?" I ask him that night. "No," he says. "Not 73.4% sure anyway. Maybe 60-40. But I'm learning that sometimes good enough certainty is better than waiting for perfect certainty that never comes. Look at you, growing." I'm still running models on whether we should refinance the mortgage, obviously.
And I'm going to build a tracking system for your emotional well-being to ensure we made the right choice. You absolutely will not. Fine, but I'm tracking grocery spending. Deal. We stay. In our too expensive apartment, in our too loud neighborhood, in our city that doesn't optimize well on paper, but feels like ours anyway. I keep seeing Mrs. Rodriguez, and when her husband dies 5 months later, I'm there. And she holds my hand and says, "I'm glad it was you," and no spreadsheet could have calculated the weight of that moment. Evan gets promoted 6 months later. Not the Portland job, but something else. Something here. Something that maybe wouldn't have happened if he'd left. Or maybe it would have. We'll never know the alternate timeline, never know what we gave up or gained by staying. But on Tuesday mornings, we make pancakes. Not because the data supports it, not because it's optimal, but because it's our ritual now, inherited from his mother, built into the structure of our weeks. And when Evan asks me what I want to do that weekend, he's learning to ask, "What does your gut say?" before he pulls up the weather forecast and traffic predictions. The spreadsheet with 47 tabs sits in his documents folder unopened. Sometimes I catch him looking at it, and I wonder if he's second-guessing. calculating the cost of the road not taken.
But then he closes the laptop and reaches for my hand and says, "Tell me about your day." And I know that we're learning, both of us, how to hold data and emotion in the same breath, how to make room for the measurable and the mysterious, how to build a life that doesn't solve all the equations but lives beautifully anyway inside the uncertainty. Mrs. Rodriguez is doing better, I tell him. She's starting to sleep through the night again. That's good. What's the percentage for grief recovery at her stage? There isn't one. Right, of course. He pauses. How does she seem, like to you, subjectively? She seems like she's learning to carry it, the missing him, like she's finding a way to hold the love and the loss in the same space. That sounds hard. It is, but she's doing it anyway. He nods, understanding perhaps more than he did before. Like us, making choices without perfect information and living with them anyway. Yeah, like us. And that night, in our apartment that we chose by feeling as much as fact, we build our life one unmeasurable moment at a time, certain of nothing except this, that love is not a data point, that home is not a probability, that the best decisions are sometimes the ones we can't defend with numbers, but know, somewhere deeper than logic, are right.